Go ahead and start the intro. The Disappointments Room stars Kate Beckinsale and is directed by DJ Caruso. So what's up, guys? We are officially in September, and this is a time where you're not too sure what you're going to get with movies. You can get some good ones, you can get some bad ones. So is The Disappointments Room a bad one? Let's find out. So in The Disappointments Room, Dana and her husband David, they move out into the country, into this big house, and the house has all these problems. It's leaking, and Dana herself is actually an architect, so she kind of takes it on as a project, something to keep her mind busy, because a recent tragedy happened involving her and her husband's daughter. So this new location, it's a therapeutic type of thing. So when exploring the house, Dana comes upon this room that really wasn't in the floor plans, and it's hidden. And so she becomes curious, and then eventually she gets into the room and she finds out that this is the Disappointments Room. And without getting into any spoiler territory, I will just say the meaning of that is, back in the old days, especially the well-to-dos, if they had children that were deformed or I guess an embarrassment, then they would hide them away and they would keep them in this quote-unquote disappointments room, away from society. So they would go through their whole lives never being known, and then they would secretly be buried. And after doing some research, that's what she finds out about this room. Now, before I go any further, let me just say there is going to be some spoiler talk at the end of this review, after my rating. So up until the rating, you're going to be fine. But after the rating, then you're going to need to go ahead and get out of here unless you just don't care. Now, the reviews on this movie have been pretty damn bleak, but I wanted to give it a chance because oftentimes with horror movies, you do find low ratings. Like The Boy I did earlier this year, it actually has a pretty low rating. But I enjoyed the movie, so I thought, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give this movie a chance and maybe I'll like it. To start off, I have to say it's not all bad. I was thoroughly entertained throughout the whole movie. Does it have problems? Hell yes, it definitely has problems. But I didn't hate it, and that was a pleasant surprise, I guess you could say. First off, I really liked Kate Beckinsale in this movie. I didn't expect her to give, such a strong performance in some of the scenes, especially the one scene where they have this dinner with this couple that comes over because her husband David thinks that, hey, this will be a good way to keep her mind off of the recent tragedy. And so they have this couple over, and then Dana comes in the room and she is drunk and she just has a complete meltdown. Kate Beckinsale's acting in that scene, it was really surprising. I've never seen her pull out a performance that good before. And also, she has to play a character that is, dealing with the death of a child. That takes some pretty good acting chops to deliver that. And like I said, she does quite well. And also, like I stated earlier, this movie does keep your attention. And to me, that's a pro. I wasn't looking at the time at any point during the movie. I was thoroughly engaged. They do introduce some plot elements here and there throughout the movie that keep you interested. And one of those plot elements is the carpenter Ben, played by Lucas Till. You might recognize him from X-Men First Class, but I thought he was an interesting addition to the plot. He's this young, hunky carpenter, and he's there to kind of seduce Dana, and she's not having it. That's another thing I like about Kate Beckinsale in this movie. She is a tough cookie. She doesn't take any shit. Now, before you think I'm going to give this movie a glowing review, let's pump the brakes a bit because, yeah, this movie does have some problems. And the first thing I'll talk about is it doesn't really have that creep factor that I look for in a horror movie. It doesn't really get under your skin or anything, It's just kind of a dramatic thriller, really. As a matter of fact, it might be the mildest horror movie I think I've seen in a long time. And it's definitely not going to be a go-to horror or thriller for me. There are so many much better movies in that category. Also, this movie is predictable. It does have a reveal, but once you find the reveal, once you know what's in that room, you're not going to be like shocked or anything. So in the end, I'm definitely going to give The Disappointments Room a humdrum. It's nothing special, but you could do worse for an hour and a half at the movies, honestly. Okay, now let's get into some spoiler talk because there are some deep spoilers in this movie that I could not mention in the non-spoiler zone. First off, when we talk about that creep factor, there are some ghosts in this room, and Gerald McCraney plays the old guy, and he's a big part of this story, but again, it just didn't really get under my skin. Also, his acting in this movie isn't the best. It really comes off as a bit like he's overselling it. And also, I was very careful about what I mentioned with her daughter, because we find out at the end of the movie that she accidentally killed her child, you know, by suffocating her. And so, of course, that is just going to be traumatizing to a mother. And so she was on all these medications, and really throughout the whole movie, all these things that she saw in the disappointments room were all in her head. And that's what I was talking about with it being predictable, because I knew immediately that that stuff wasn't really there. So if any of you saw the disappointments room this weekend, let me know what you thought. Also, this is my first review with the new Halloween-inspired background. Really excited. And the reason for that is because my 31 Days of October event is coming up. I got a whole bunch of guests planned. I've already posted a video about that, so you can check that out. But yeah, I'm really excited. So anyway, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And Drumdum out.